down on the number of plastic bags we use is the idea behind a bill making the rounds in Legg Hall. If passed, Delaware would be the first state to enact a law charging a nickel for each plastic or paper bag used. We hash out the arguments for and against the measure in this week's First Look.
We all have them and use them without giving it a second thought. These thin, noisy plastic bags are everywhere, and that's the problem.
Plastic bags are a detriment to our society. You'll find that a lot of your flooding results from plastic bags getting clogged up in the sewer areas. You find birds, wildlife eat the plastic bags, and when they find them dead on the beaches. And then folk also just don't dispose of the bags properly. You find them blowing around on the streets.
And Wilmington City Council President Theo Gregory is tired of it. He, along with the rest of council, recently said yes, please, to House Bill 202, a plastic bag bill in Delaware.
A show of unified support coming from the largest municipality in the state of Delaware, saying that we think that this is a good idea.
The pending legislation would require big stores like supermarkets and drugstores to charge customers 5 cents for each single-use carryout bag used. In other words, if you want a bag, you're going to have to pay for it.
Now, that's not a cost that they must incur because they can bring a bag. They can bring the same kind, the single use, or they can bring a heavier bag.
Republican state lawmaker Deborah Hudson is the unlikely sponsor of the bill.
I've had people say they were shocked at my attention to a bill of this sort, but I just think it's an issue that's coming. It just seems like a good thing to do for the environment and so easy.
And all of those nickels spent on bags will go towards recycling education programs, according to the bill.
No money is going to the state, so it's not a tax. You're really just paying for this single-use bag. And we hope to educate people that there's a better way to do it than to take home a bag that takes 10 years to degrade.
Dee Durham helped to work on the bill from start to finish. She's co-chair of Bring Your Own Bag Delaware.
No state has yet enacted a plastic bag bill. Lots of counties have done it and lots of cities. So it is being done all across the United States, and our bill is mirrored after those. The idea behind this bill is that if you really need a bag, you consciously pay for it. Right now, everyone's paying for them, whether they use them or not, because it's hidden in the cost of your groceries. So this is a voluntary choice that you would make to pay this fee.
The bill has a ways to go before it comes up for a vote. And so far, the biggest argument against it has been it'll hit the poor the hardest.
I believe that that's an excuse for those people who don't want to use multi-use bags. I've not heard that aggressively from the poor. I've heard that from the non-poor.
This Wilmington Save-A-Lot on Lancaster Avenue is in a low-income area. It already charges 5 cents for its bags as part of company policy.
Most people brought their own bags, although some were paying for it. And I asked the cashier if people have complained to him, and he said no. So I think that it's not a big deal. I think people, once they learn and understand the point here, it becomes automatic.
We all have an obligation to our environment. Because you're poor and you have limited resources, you should not be forgiven from protecting our environment for the next generations to come.
Statistics have each of us taking home about 500 plastic bags a year.
It's estimated that only 7 to 9% of the single-use plastic bags are reused or recycled. So that means, more than 90% of the bags are either ending up in the landfill or ending up out in our environment, in our oceans, in our watersheds, hanging in our trees.
Cleanup that wastes tax dollars and Durham adds endangers our food supply.
You also have plastic being found in fish markets. So plastic bags do not biodegrade, they're not biodegradable, but they do degrade, photodegrade, and then the little bits of plastic end up in our food chain. So it's actually, a health issue in terms of toxics getting into our food chain.
Durham says plastic bags were only invented in 1977. We survived just fine before then, and we can survive without them again, should the law pass.
House Bill 202 expands on Delaware's existing plastic bag recycling program, which requires those large stores to provide plastic bag recycling bins, usually by the doors. And one thing I learned, those plastic bags aren't supposed to go into your curbside recycling bin because they can jam up all the machinery. So those bags should go back to the stores in their respective bag bins.
So what is the chances for this bill getting done?
It's not looking good. A straw vote shows that state lawmakers are really split on the issue, but Representative Hudson says if this goes nowhere this session, it will return next session.
And this is not going to affect those mom and pop shops, really the bigger stores.
Right, so the bodegas are not included in this bill, but what we are talking about those stores that are 7,000 square feet or more, or stores with 3 locations in the state, at least 3,000 square feet.
And this is not the first place this will be done. Other counties and cities have done it before.
Right.
What's been the response there? What have they seen?
Well, so far the response has been really good. Dee Durham uses Washington, D.C. as an example. So as soon as they passed a bill very similar in nature, they saw a 65% drop in plastic bag usage and pollution. So that's a really big payout for not a huge step.
All right, thanks so much, Shirley. Continuing coverage can be found online at newsworks.org/Delaware.